Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News for this Wednesday, November 6. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. Consumers will have to dig deeper in their pockets for the upcoming festive season as the price of agricultural produce will increase. Speaking with TVJ News this morning, President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, Lenworth Fulton, said this is due to the recent drought which affected the majority of farm-producing areas.
Well, I think we'll have some higher price than usual in that we came off late in the drought, and so you'll not have the full production of things like sorrel, which we are accustomed to. We'll have some sorrel, but not in the same quantity as we had in yesteryears.
He's expecting that prices will increase by as much as 15%.
That they're paying higher inputs because the dollar is not behaving itself, and that feed right through to every input. All of these inputs are imported. So when our dollar now is at 141, it can't do anything good for farmers. So something needs to be done to control that volatility. I don't say to fix it, but it is too volatile now and for too long, and it is affecting the importation of planting material.
And the Jamaica Agricultural Society says it will be looking to the government to clear a debt of over $20 million. This follows the staging of the Dengue Agricultural Show in Clarendon 3 months ago. Mr. Fulton says the debt is due to the non-payment of monies by some major sponsors. $15 million is owed to the National Water Commission, while another $13 million is owed to a private security company.
I am going to approach the government to advance us something to clear them, and then it would be the JS and the government instead of the JS and private contractors. So that's the route we want to go.
Minister with responsibility for information, Carl Samuda, says the revocation of Cabinet Minister Darrell Vaz's U.S. visa will have little impact on investor confidence in Jamaica. Mr. Samuda was responding to questions at the post-cabinet press briefing today.
It's a matter that affects the minister himself quite personally. As for the government, I doubt very much if it will have that great impact on the government. And therefore I'm not fearful of the image of the government. I am not apprehensive about any fallout by investors in their confidence in this government, because the work of this government has clearly demonstrated that the country is being run efficiently, services are being provided on a timely basis, and the opportunities for growth and development have never been better.
The U.S. visas of Mr. Vaz and senior opposition MP Philip Paulwell were revoked recently. By way of correspondence from the United States Embassy, they were informed that if they had intentions of traveling to the U.S., they would have to reapply. The politicians were among a list of business persons and members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force whose visas were revoked. And in light of concerns about an increase in dengue cases, the Education Ministry is increasing preventative measures in schools. Acting Permanent Secretary Dr. Grace McLean provided an update at today's post-cabinet press briefing.
We have sent out to the system all the appropriate documentation for them to be guided by. We collaborate with the fogging as well as the tips that are provided for our school administrators. We also follow up closely with our teachers to ensure that if and when there are symptoms, which we all know, the students are facilitated in seeking medical treatment immediately. And I believe so far we have been doing an excellent job in terms of the collaboration, and we will continue to do so.
The woman who was taken into custody in connection with the fatal stabbing of a senior member of the national women's football team, Tariana Clark, has been charged. 20-year-old Rochelle Foster of Brandon Hill St. Andrew was charged last night. This was confirmed by crime officer for the St. Andrew Central Police, Deputy Superintendent Percival Anderson. Ms. Foster is to appear before the Corporate Area Criminal Court next week. Reports are that last Thursday, the women got into an altercation over a cell phone in Halfway Tree, which led to Ms. Clark being stabbed. An investigation has been launched following the removal of several children from a compound which is believed to be the site of a religious group in Norwood, St. James. The Office of the Children's Advocate confirmed that the children were taken from the property during operations last week and yesterday. Children's Advocate Diane Gordon-Harrison told our news center that the children were removed after concerns were raised about their welfare.
So without giving too many details, as this is a live matter that will involve appearances before the court, I can compound that there was in fact an operation today. There was also one last week. And there are several issues at play of both religious and sexual natures. And we basically are concerned about certainly the children who are involved. There are two broad categories of children who seem to be on the compound, those of tender years, which would be below 12, and adolescents. And we're, of course, concerned about their presence on the compound and the nature of the activities that they're involved in.
The Children's Advocate gave details on what prompted her office to intervene.
Our role as OCA is just to see that everything that's probed points to securing the best interests of these children. But as I said, it's a live issue, it's unfolding, and so I really can't give very much more detail at this time.
In this video, several individuals on the property objected to the removal of the children. When we visited the church this morning, they refused to speak with our news team. And it's time for a break. More stories right after these messages. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. The National Environment and Planning Agency NEPA has given information which is in conflict with the allegations made by some members of the Discovery Bay Community Development Committee. Members have alleged that the Dolphin Cove attraction at Puerto Rico Beach have caused increased pollution. But Senior Manager for the Environmental Management Subdivision at NEPA, Richard Nelson, says based on information gathered by the agency, the claims cannot be verified. Criticisms and advocacy by community activists have increased since the opening of the beach. A recent letter in the Gleaner by the committee ignited another round of debate and a sharp reaction from Dolphin Cove, which has denied the claims.
Both NEPA and the Ministry of Health, that is the Environmental Health Unit, also go with the consultant from time to time, and we collect split samples and do independent testing. And this also provides some verification of what the independent lab is doing. Now, what the data has showed is that before the dolphins were introduced, what NEPA jointly with UWI have picked up is that it's pretty much similar to what has been obtained from 2005. And pretty much pristine quality water, good quality water. And since the introduction of the dolphin, the data has shown no significant change. It remains pretty much more or less the same as before and after. So we have not seen any information in data that indicated that there has been any increased pollution.
The Justices of the Peace Association held its annual awards in St. Anne yesterday to recognize those who have made outstanding contributions in society. CEO of the RGR Gleaner Communications Group, Gary Allen, commended the Justices of the Peace who have stayed true to the theme, dedication to service above self.
We as JPs are called upon to try and find some semblance of how we help our communities to be right. And many, many, many of you who are being honored, and even those not being honored tonight, are doing an outstanding job at trying to help to introduce that balance in our society, which has turned askew like that.
He highlighted that having unquestionable integrity is one of the main characters that a JP must have. He suggested that they be trained in order to assist in the effective operation of the justice system.
I encourage more of our justices of the peace to seek to get professional development and training in mediation. And I encourage the authorities to recommend the justices of the peace who have been so trained to be used in some of the high-paying court-mediated mediation sessions that are taking place in our society.
With some JPs being in conflict with the law, Mr. Allen reminded them of their sworn duty. Critical repairs to the Papine market are expected to be completed soon. For years, vendors have been complaining about the status of the facility. Councillor for the Papine Division, Venetia Phillips, gave an update on the project.
We have the electrical work going on because we want to make sure that the market is properly lit, because we have had concerns from vendors about the security, and so that too is happening simultaneously as we do the restoration of the roof. I still notice that we have water in just one passage, and we're going to be dealing with that in terms of the soakaway.
In the meantime, Ms. Phillips said there have also been improvements in garbage collection at the market.
We have impressed upon the office staff here at the market to continue to monitor how the garbage bay is managed by the ground persons we have here. We don't always, unfortunately, get collections on time, but we are working with NSWMA, who partner with us to assist us to cart away the garbage from the bay when we are not able ourselves to respond from KCC.
Residents of Newland in Yala St. Thomas are calling on the Jamaica Public Service to replace a light post in the community. The post has deteriorated and poses a threat to residents. One resident told our news center that the matter was reported to the Morant Bay office of the JPS, but they are yet to get a response.
If you notice, the wire even dip because the root of the post is open, rotten out. And we make several complaints about it, but nobody take us in consideration. And this thing is very dangerous to both our home and to the people in the community, because if this post fall down, it's gonna cause chaos. So we are asking for an urgent look at the post and if they can do something about it. Even the street light, for the past 3-4 months now, the street light is out. And we've been talking about it and nobody seems to recognize us.
And time now for a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In the next edition of the health report, we look at the importance of breastfeeding.
They will suck when they want to. And when they've had enough, they will stop. It's not somebody holding a bottle at an angle and they're almost sucking as long as that nipple is in their mouth. So that's what I mean by self-regulating. And this has implications for the baby's or the child's weight in latter years. You often find that breastfed babies are often heavier, bigger than breastfed babies.
That's the health report this evening in Primetime News. And now for today's healthy living tip. Get comfortable while nursing. Help your baby find the right position. Let your baby determine how often and how long to nurse. Don't be alarmed. It's common for milk to leak from your breasts. And stay hydrated.
And in sports, Roston Chase fell 4 runs short of his main one-day international century as the West Indies cruised to a 7-wicket win over Afghanistan to take a 1-0 lead in their 3-game series. Set 195 runs to win for victory, the Windies lost Evan Lewis for 7 and Shimron Hetmar for 3 with the score 25-2. Chase 94 and Shea Hope 77 not out added 163 for the 3rd wicket as the West Indies reached victory at 197 for 3. Earlier, Afghanistan recovered from 15 for 2 with Ramat Shah 61 and Ikram Alikil 58 leading the way. However, a strong response from the Caribbean bowlers saw the hosts losing their last 4 wickets for the 3 runs. Jason Holder, Romario Shepherd and Chase all ended with 2 wickets. And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.